so this is the first drive in the RX-7 since I've repaired the shifter. I gotta say, I got the top off. It was raining last night, so hope it doesn't start raining again, but it feels good outside. It's, you know, this is actually really refreshing because I haven't driven this car. I was looking at the registration. The last time I registered it was 2020. And in that time, I've had quite a few things surface as far as problems goes. One was the first one was the fuel pump. Fuel pump's done. And then the gear shift lever. So the gear shift lever was a problem. It's just been around. The oil leak in the fuel pan has been a problem that's been around for a while. And so I've just been remedying these things since I've already done the fuel pump. I thought, go ahead and just fix shit. And this thing is still a joy to drive. The throws in the transmission are positive. There's no slack in the gear lever, which is glorious. And it revs out so strong. And I've got this, I don't know what this exhaust is, but this car is really loud. Like, it's got a real deep burble to it. And it just sounds like it's got way more power than it really does. It's not powerful. 160 horsepower if it was in its top shape from the factory. I don't know what it is now, maybe 140 something. At any rate, it's still a very visceral drive. I mean, I'm just running the gears up. I had it up to about 8,000 RPM and it pulls so strong. I did a donut earlier. It's wet, mind you, but it's a donut. Donut's a donut, damn it. Yeah, the throws are really solid. The slack is like gone. Very positive clicks and engagement into the gears. But the car just has great pull. It still has fantastic pull. This is what I was talking about with this car. You put it away for a while and you come back and drive it and it's still solid. And I mean, I'm gonna miss the shit out of it if I'm honest. I mean, it's not powerful as powerful cars go. But it's powerful enough. I think of it like the beta test for the Miata. This is a car that they wanted to build better, and the Miata was the incarnation of that, or the reincarnation of that. Lighter, more agile, but still that thrilling roadster feel. This car is genuinely still a pretty solid roadster. Progression. It's not a fast car, but I think the experience from driving it fast is where the beauty is. It's what the payoff is. When you push it hard, when you drive it fast, it's just really cool. Hearing the engine spin up to its top, to its peak, and then feeling that exhilaration in that gradual sense. I think this car, when it was new, 0 to 60 was probably like in the manual, which was quicker back in the day. Back in the day, manuals were quicker than automatics. Maybe 8 seconds. Not super fast, but not super slow, especially for that time frame. But I will say, it's a lot of fun for about 8 seconds. But then when you're just coasting along, like I said, this car has a very deep, almost baritone exhaust note. Definitely not a Mazda exhaust, but it sounds phenomenal. It's just very deep. And when you're just cruising along, there's a sense of like I don't know, I'm gonna call it coolness. I'm driving this old, sporty 90s car that's as raw can be. I'm gonna be sad to get rid of it, but I gotta make some moves. Sun's coming out. It's a sign. Well, the next thing on the list for this car, as far as the work I'm doing, there's a rattle going on in the exhaust, or when I'm engaging the car, it sounds like it's coming from exhaust. Probably a heat shield or a connector or something. So I've got some new rubber mounts. This is just a rubber ring. You just have to go over the exhaust loop and then over the mounting post. You hear that deep bass. I'm off the gas and it's decelerating and it just goes. Whoa. It's pretty fucking cool. I like it. You hear that rattle a little bit. So I still got everything out of the middle because I wanted to check this before I put it all back together. Now, one of the other issues I had was the odor of the gear oil. If you've never smelled gear oil, count yourself lucky. The shit's foul. And I thought maybe because it was old that it was really, really smelly. Doesn't matter. Even when it's new, it smells like shit. It smells toxic, kind of. Pretty certain it's not good for you. All the fumes from that gear oil were just rising straight up out. Now, it gets hot, so it's cooking. And that didn't help. That exacerbated the odor, I think. But now with the new seal on around the lever, and then this major bushing, which I still have to put a few pieces back on top of that even, still, that smell is gone. Get it going here. That secondary, oh my God, this thing still runs. Holy shit, better slow down. This thing is sneaky. This thing is sneaky. That's a ticket for sure. Chill out. All-wheel drive, chill the fuck out. Throws are very positive now. There's no moving around. Like, it's in gear and it's not wiggling. That's what it was doing before. It was wiggling like you'd have thought it was in neutral with all the play that was still there once it was actually in gear. So that's all gone. They're solid, clear and crisp funks. Check my surroundings. Still pedaling. Oh my goodness. This deceivingly fast is. Do I get rid of it? I mean, really, here's the deal. The car is falling apart. Okay? The car is falling apart. And not in the sense that it mechanically doesn't work anymore, in the sense that there's pieces of everything everywhere. This plastic that's in here that holds all the center console is just, it's almost like a peanut brittle. It just sucks. Everything is coming apart. The more you take things off, the more likely that brittle plastic starts to come undone. I've got pieces that are just chipped off all over the car. And you might think, oh, just buy a replacement for that. I don't want to buy a new dash. I don't want to buy all this shit. Shit's expensive. And then I've exceeded the value of the car, whatever it is at this point. They've gone up. But at the same time, the more it needs, the more that value gets diminished. But the gear throws are so soft and precise. I think that's one of the things I've always loved about this car, is how smooth and easy it is to engage it in the transmission. That's something that I noticed with a lot of the Japanese products. It's very loud. Don't hit the Lexus. With the oil leak, about that. So the oil pan I feel is solid. I did a test of the job by putting some shop towels underneath it after the car was done and just sitting, because one of the problems I had was that it would leak oil even if I haven't driven it or started it. It would just constantly leak, and there's a drip of some sort coming from somewhere. In terms of the next things I want to do, I'm not going to go back and check that leak right now. I'm going to finish with this and see if I can remedy that rattling that you get when I come off the clutch and take off. You can hear this vibrative rattling of metal. And then at the back of the car, there's a rattling. I feel like as I go around corners or turn, I hear this kind of rattling as if there's something loose. I would imagine that the suspension needs to be redone, just because, looking at everything else on this car, a lot of that stuff has not been taken care of. So just, most people that own cars, they don't feel like they want to deal with these things they don't see, that don't diminish the ability of the car to just drive them where they want to go. Therefore, there's no problem. You have to change those kinds of things, just like you have to change brakes. At some point, they get to a point where they're gone. That's the same with bushings and things like that on your control arms, all those kinds of things. So that's something I want to track down once I've finished mounting the exhaust brackets back to where they need to be. All the HVAC stuff still works. The AC does work. I disconnected the belt because it uses the old Freon, and you need an act of Congress these days to get any of that. And the conversion process I haven't looked into, nor am I really interested in doing that. It's Southern California. I really don't care, to be honest. Windows work. I did buy a new switch for the passenger side. So the windows do work, but the passenger side is missing the switch. When my son was about 3 or 4, I had him in here in his booster and his feet were way up here, and he just liked kicking shit, and he kicked it. I think that's what happened. It happened after that episode, so I'm assuming my toddler broke it. Another thing I've noticed with this car is my ignition switch is starting to fail. What I mean is that when I turn it on, so you've got off, then you've got what's called ACC, which is basically using the energy from the car to power things. So when it's on ACC, you should be able to do your windows and other power elements. Top. It was working. That's gonna suck. But what I was saying is that the switch is very finicky. Okay, top works. Again, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. This is why I don't want to keep it. I just don't want to keep tracking down these issues. As much fun as it is when it's running right and driving, it's when you get back to the garage and you're sitting here trying to figure out what the fuck next is going wrong with this car that you realize it's time, and it is time. So to be continued. Okay, so I'm back really quick. So the top. I swear to God, it just worked. There we go. I think there's a wire loose in this thing. Now it'll stop and pause with a long beep. Basically, that's to let you know that you can now, once it's at this stage on the lift of the return, this is when you put the target piece back in. So then once you're ready, finish the process, and then put a target top. So going back to the oil situation, here's the leak that I was talking about. So I had a towel, a series of this one earlier, and there's a leak that's coming out. I do feel like now that I've come back, I've been running the shit out of it. I'm gonna see what this looks like now that I've driven the car, see how good that repair is. Like I said, I smelled a little bit of oil just now when I pulled up and turned the car off. I see a little bit coming out. So yeah, so I'm gonna put the towels back down under here and park it.